I didn't have any ambition to become an editor. But somehow I was asked to edit a commercial for Absolut Vodka, and since then I lost all respect for the craft of anything. Later I had a similar situation happen, when I was shooting a TV series and the editor just left the project. The same week we were supposed to give a rough cut to the commissioning editors at the TV station. The production was about to turn to shit, and I was asked to help out and save the project by editing it. Since I shot everything, I was the only one with a clue of what material was there. And by that time, I'd got myself enough editing experience. Anyway, I said yes, and since then I've pretty much edited everything I've done. So here are my tips on how to become a better and faster editor. This is obvious, but you have to practice your craft. I was lucky enough to get paid to learn how to edit. But even if you're not, you need to edit a lot. I've had assistant editors coming straight from universities having edited only 3-minute projects. That's a really crappy way of learning. If you want to make 3-minute projects, that's fine. But if you want to make 30 minutes or 60-minute narratives, that's what you need to edit. Practice whatever type of editing you want to do. You should be editing scenes in a pace that's destined for whatever format you're aiming for. Editing is all about telling stories and shaping narratives. It's not about the technical aspects of using an editing program. Stop focusing on the features in a freaking program. Start working hard at telling stories and building dramaturgy into whatever you do. Stop thinking about transitions, grading, and whatever other visual effects shit people get hung up on. Stop being afraid of slow tempo. To me, this is the most annoying shit of the internet age. There's nothing more stupid than people complaining that something is too slow cause their fucking ADHD won't let them focus for whatever reason. Every story has a tempo that's best for that story. Trying to make stuff fast-paced just cause people think everything on YouTube should be fast is ignorant as fuck. Oftentimes people don't get into a story because it doesn't take its time for the audience to land or kind of get into the story or the scenes. There's a contradiction in not making things too slow or too fast, but I think most documentaries have a pace that's too slow to hook audiences. It also has to do with the formats that's out there. The TV hour or feature film lengths force people into a narrative structure that might not be what the story needs. So kill your darlings. If your film only holds up for 60 minutes, don't freaking make it 90. As an editor, you're brought in to shape someone's vision in the best way you can. Learning to let go of ideas, images, or hours of work is really important. Maybe even more important if you work for yourself. The reason a lot of people prefer to work with a separate editor rather than a director editing the project is because they have fresh eyes. This to me is a bit overrated. I think that fresh eyes are great and all, but learning the craft of letting go is much more valuable. You need to be able to criticize your own work. You need to be able to take in feedback. You need to be able to see things from an objective perspective. That's hard. You need to be able to squash weeks of work and just start over because an idea didn't work out. I don't think you have to have a separate editor to do that, but it's a talent you need to develop by getting experience working with other people. Other people's ideas and feedback. This is not something you can learn yourself. There's many ways of structuring projects. From organizing them in an NLE with metadata and mapping out the story on post-its, I'm a big proponent of both. It speeds up your work and it really helps to develop a strong narrative. Edit scenes first, not the whole project. This is something I learned from working with schooled professional feature film editors. When you take on a big project, like a feature film, feature documentary for instance, it's very hard to build a narrative if you just jump into the main film narrative. So what I always do on those types of projects is that I edit scene by scene to find out what they are, whatever they hold up for. Whatever the narrative I see in the scenes themselves, I edit them as standalone scenes and then use post-its or some other form of organizing strategy to piece a puzzle together, which is the narrative structure. This is a much easier way to develop a strong narrative and to keep track of your material. Analyze other people's work. Most people do this, but do it in a more scientific way. Go look at scenes or the same film over and over. You'll discover new things every time. Don't rush getting ahead of things. Take your time and reflect more serious about things. It's easy to just rush on to the next thing, but if you don't stop to think, you'll never evolve as fast as you have the potential to do. But don't do this too much. It's more important to make things and practice than to study. Work with other people. You learn really quick when you have other people to collaborate with. As you're starting out, working with others that are better than you will help you evolve much quicker than if you just sit in your own basement and, try to figure things out. Assist people or collaborate on a project. That's the way to go. That's it for this time. Let me know what you think is important to think about if you want to be a great editor. Who do you look up to and why? Comment below. See you next week.